Hello, welcome back to the second vlog leading up to the Hill Climb Championships. In less than 2 weeks' time, I think it's like 11 days, 10 days, I don't know. It's Tuesday now. So I had this idea of making daily videos, and then the weekend just gone, we actually drove down to Dorset and I didn't actually make a video. So that idea went out the window quite quickly. So instead, what I thought I would do to put less pressure on myself to create something specific, I would do like diary entries, kind of like this. So I'd fill you in on what's happened during the day and or the day before, and give you an insight that way into the build-up. I actually haven't done this before, so I'm going to keep it quite short, quite sweet, quite direct, and less fluff, less editing. It just means I can get something quite quality focused out without having to worry about doing too much. I hope that makes sense. So the last week or so, I've been very sort of feeling very good. I've been sleeping well, and that's been helping my performances, been helping my mood, how I feel. It's been helping my weight as well, and now down to 62.2 kilograms. That's been gradually coming down. And yeah, so Tuesday. So last night, I track everything using my ultra-human ring, and slept for 8.5 hours last night, with pretty much everything in range. Really nice dashboard there, isn't it? My resting heart rate is coming down to the low 40s. My HRV is now closer to the higher points that it's been this year. So other than actually feeling like looking forward to this sort of hill climb prep being done, because I haven't put much pressure on myself during this hill climb period as much as I have done in previous years. Like last year, I knew I had the best chance in 4 years of winning, and so I made sure that everything was set, that I would give my best. I would be able to give my best possible performance, and that happened. But unfortunately, I got second. And this year, because of the length of the climb being 1.2 kilometers at 10%, it's going to take 3 minutes ish. I felt like I was I'm not going to put lots of pressure on myself, but that's not to say that training and preparation doesn't start to wear you down. Essentially, I'm motivated for the day, but when you're just ticking off the days, it's the same routine every single day. And we've been doing that now for the whole year. And it's always difficult in October because of the weather being horrendous. And less daylight hours, you hardly see the sun. It gets quite, depressing, essentially. And so this year in particular, I'm in a different mindset for this championship. I know when it comes to it, I'm going to be very motivated. In the days leading up to it, I'm going to be very motivated. But when it comes to now, I know I can't make much difference now. What I do day to day now, 2 weeks out, can't change anything. Pretty much done the training. The only thing I've got to do now is just sharpen up a little bit. And I'm still trying to work out how I'm going to tackle the last few days. Whether or not I'm going to, take a couple of days completely off to really give myself optimal freshness, because I do know that I perform very well over short power durations when I'm very well rested. 2 days completely off the bike is not unusual, and I'll feel incredible. But it's finding the balance So yeah, this final period is quite interesting, and I think maybe doing these type of videos might be even more. Actually, might be a better way of showing the ins and outs, as opposed to like trying to actually, film a fancy video. So yeah, where are we? So on the weekend, I did a ride on Saturday. It didn't really go that well. It got very wet. That was down in Dorset. Sunday I took the day off, and then Monday I just had an easy recovery day, which, to be honest, I probably didn't even need. And then we've gone for an endurance ride this morning with a friend, and that was 2.5 hours. And we did a couple of short little efforts in there, more just to break it up. And then tonight I've got a Zwift race, and no doubt there's going to be 35 minutes of riding really hard. But aside from that, one thing I've got planned to do this week is we're going to head out to a climb that's very similar to Dipton Mill Road, which is where the National Hill Climb Champs are. And I'm going to try 2 different tyres. I'm going to try different tyre pressures. And I'm going to try different pacing strategies with the help of a friend who's very mechanically minded, very, very mathematically minded, part of his job, and kind of going to use the data we find or gather to maybe give us a better indication as to what would be the best way to pace essentially a 3-minute effort on a climb with very little change in gradient. We already have a theory, and I'm expecting that theory to stand true. And obviously I won't share the results, because that will that will give other people the same idea. But I will share the results in the National Hill Climb Championship video, because it will probably alter the way I race and pace the championship. But also I think it's different for everybody anyway. So even the way that I would pace it would not maybe be the way someone else would pace it, etc. So you get the idea. I'm toying with the idea of doing, because now there's really nothing much else to do other than take over. I'm toying with the idea of doing a couple of sort of fun tests that we can do on a live stream or on Zwift. Something that might interest some people, might not, but essentially just 3 minutes as hard as we can go, or trying to set like personal bests for durations that are going to be around national championship durations. I've noticed over the last couple of weeks that my power curve has been very much on the upward trend, and there's little gaps here and there in my power curve, and so now is probably a good time to maybe try and fill those gaps. For example, we've done a 2.5 minute, a 2 minute all out effort. We haven't done a minute and a half all out effort. We haven't done a 2.5 minute all out effort. It's probably a better thing to do. But so the reason why I think I'm still slowly dropping weight, even though my volume, my workload is remaining relatively consistent, it hasn't really changed or upped or lowered, is I've kind of changed the way, so for breakfast now I'm having 3 whole eggs, and I'm pushing my carbohydrates later into the day, and that actually is irrelevant. It doesn't matter if I do a training session in the morning or a training session in the evening. It doesn't matter. I'm shifting my carbohydrate, which in turn is seeing me slowly lower my weight. The other thing as well is I'm drinking a heck of a lot of water. So I'm going to the toilet like a lot during the day. More water than I would normally drink. I'm not that good actually at keeping hydrated, so yeah, although it's a lot of water, it's probably just a lot of water relative to what I normally drink. These last 2 weeks, there's no real science or method to it. Like, things will change day by day, because the most important things in the last 2 weeks are how I feel, how I sleep, the number on the scale, on the weighing scale, of course the numbers when I'm out training or when I'm performing, and yeah, so as much as a training plan is in place, it is very much subject to change day in, day out. And I think we probably don't hear it enough in cycling, but I think it happens more than we hear that it does. It certainly happens a lot in other sports. I follow a lot of high-performing individuals on YouTube, for example, who have got their own vlogs and YouTube channels, and they often talk about how that internal feedback, and how when they get closer to an event, they work closely with their coach, and more often than not, it's like daily sort of check-ins to see like how are you feeling, like what's the what was the session like, what weight are you at now. So it gets like more and more sort of personalized and specialized the closer you get to the event, especially something like this event, because it is very high fine tuning. And so yeah, where we're at now, like essentially I'll wake up tomorrow and I'll be like, that's on the plan, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to do something completely different. It's very like, yeah, it's very much like there's a method to the madness, but I'm so in tune in my body now that I'll wake up one day and I'll be like, yeah. But as long as things are trending in the right direction, as long as things are looking good and I feel good, that's the overriding thing during this time period. So there we are. That's going to wrap up this video, and I'll see you tomorrow for another update. So any questions, let me know down below and I will catch you then.